Welcome back to Spilling the Tea, and we're here with our third episode. I'm Eva, still addicted to golf, currently still a 23 handicap, snack bar extraordinaire, and after this week's round, questioning all my life choices. So, who are you, man?
I am Kurt, the co-host for Spillin the Tee. I am currently an 8.4 handicap and questioning whether I want to continue playing golf in Southern California after this weekend.
Yeah. If you're here for positivity, listen last week's or a future week's. This was rough. So every episode we play a different course and break it down by price, playability, and personality. And then at the end, we're going to share our ratings on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 is never again, 10 is loved it, can't wait to go back. We do not know each other's scores, but if Kurt, you give more than a 5, I'm quitting this podcast. So, all right, let's get into it.
This week, we are talking about Costa Mesa Country Club. They've got 2 courses out there. Costa Mesa, we played Los Lagos. It's a course that looked beautiful and still somehow made me question every life choice that led me there.
Yeah.
Lagos is the longer of the 2. They've got 2 courses out there, Los Lagos and Mesa Linda. And the rumors are true. Pace of play is a real thing at Costa Mesa. They stack tee times. It's every 7 minutes or 7.5. So you're just playing one on top of the other. They get behind by 7:30 a.m. and then never catch up. And there's never less than 3 groups on a hole at any given time.
So that leads me right into this week's sponsor. This week's episode of Spillin the Tea is brought to you by the old man who stole my bucket of balls at the range. Did I tell you about this the day of?
Wait, so I feel like I heard you when I was hitting balls, and I thought it was someone who worked there that was like coming to like clean up the extra baskets or something.
No, no, no. No. So I go and get a small bucket of balls for the grass. One redeeming quality of Costa Mesa Country Club is that they have grass you can hit off of or mats. The grass, I think, is a little more expensive to buy balls for than the mats, but it's minimal. I think it was like a $2 difference. Anyway, I went and bought a small bucket of balls for the grass. And I bought that at the front. You know how like there's that front check-in? I got that at the
Yeah,
front. And then they said, go around the back and pick up your balls. So I went around the back. I picked up my balls and put them at a bay that was open. So I put them down and then I went to my cart to go grab the clubs I wanted to warm up with. And on my way back, this old man, a full grown grandpa, grabs my bucket of balls and just walks towards the mats. And I just put my clubs down, followed him right over to where he was because I saw the whole thing. And I was like, excuse me, you have taken my bucket of balls. And he was like, well, don't you know that the yellow baskets are for the mats and the green baskets are for the grass? And I was like, cool. You still took my bucket of balls. That's really
yeah.
weird, dude. And I said to him, that's really weird. What's wrong with you? And he just goes like this, shrug.
Oh my
And
god.
I just grabbed my balls back. I took him to the window and I said, some Looney Tune just told me that I needed a green bucket of balls. Is this true? And they're like, yes, someone must have taken yours. And I was like, great. Can you get me a green bucket of balls? And so then I went back
Weird.
and warmed up. But anyway, thank you so much, Grandpa, who was stealing the balls. Really, you taught me so much. I won't probably ever see you again if you're a regular at Los Lagos because I'm probably never going back. But thanks
Yeah.
for sponsoring this week.
Thank you for sponsoring and for the story.
Yeah. And it's a personal attack. He knows what he did, and I want him to know that I know what he did.
How do we get this podcast into his sphere or like
I know.
he's got
It
to
was so
listen?
bizarre because, like, still they weren't his balls. Do you know what I mean? Like, he just came
Yeah.
and picked them up. So nothing says Los Lagos like setting your balls down and getting robbed immediately. So There we go.
Yeah, really setting the tone for Costa Mesa.
I had never played there before, Kurt, because I had only heard terrible things, and there's so many options in Southern California. So I just steered clear. But I knew that we would have to play this course in our series of courses that we're going to play because it's popular. I mean, the place is bumping all the time. Um, so all the terrible things I heard were true. As soon as I got there, the parking lot was packed. There was, like, street parking, it looked like, at one point. So, this place was bumping, and it was 9 o'clock in the morning. The vibe I got, like, out the gate was that it just crowded, right? Like, there was a lot of people there. And then I saw a mouse run between 2 of the bushes. And hindsight, I know that that was the mouse sending me a message, like, "Run for your life, I'm doing it too." That's how it
Yeah.
started for me. What was your experience, playing there before and then coming into this weekend?
Yeah, I don't know if it was COVID that changed things, but I don't remember it being so terrible the first time I played it. The one thing I do remember about my first round was that, and I hate hitting off of mats. I was playing with my father-in-law. He was still just my girlfriend's dad at the time, but we were playing golf. It was one of our first rounds playing together, and I had just the absolute worst case of the shanks on the mat and could not hit a golf ball to save my life. Luckily, as the old saying goes, the range doesn't transfer to the course, whether good to bad, bad to good. So I ended up playing really well in the round, but I could not hit the ball to save my life on the range and was like nervous because I think it was our first round playing together.
Well, that's big that's a big deal.
Yeah. And so maybe the excitement of playing with my girlfriend's dad for the first time outweighed the pace of play, or I do remember it being a long time ago before COVID. So I know COVID, golf blew up as a sport. It was one of the first ones back. A lot more people getting into it. It's become a little bit more popular recently, but they just stack tee times. They do every 7.5 minutes, and just there's two courses. So already it's going to be busier. The parking lot is the same size as it should be for an 18 hole course, but this has 36 holes. So you got twice as many people out there playing, and they also have a pretty decent range. So you get traffic for people who are just there to hit balls. So I think that definitely plays a factor. Wasn't anything out of the ordinary for me for that day. I knew what I was getting into. I've played Costa Mesa enough lately that I know if you get out before 7:30, you can play in a decent amount of time. But
Yeah.
you have to play really early, and that was a weekday. So anything weekend after 7:30, you're going to be waiting on every hole.
Yeah, I was thinking that throughout the round, I probably would have had a much better day if this was a 6:30 AM tea time.
Yeah, I'm not an early riser. I can get up for golf. I don't like to get up for other things, but I can usually get up early for golf. That would probably be the only way I'd play this course again. Or I do think we should maybe play Mesa Linda, but should maybe look at the earliest possible tee time and suffer through waking up early to get out early enough to make pace of play bearable.
Why don't we get a little nerdy with Curdy? Give us some background on this course.
This course was built in 1967. It was built by William F. Bell. His father, Billy Bell Sr., is William P. Bell, and began designing courses long, long time ago, back in the like early 1900s, and has designed courses like Bel Air Country Club, Riviera, LA Country Club, and designed those with George Thomas. But then went on to design his own courses like the La Jolla Country Club, both the courses at Brookside in Pasadena, and the San Diego Country Club, and then his son Billy Bell Jr. graduated from USC, and they started designing some courses together, and then Billy Bell Jr. took over and has designed a bunch. DeBell in Burbank, pretty popular course, is a William Bell course. It has a signature bell hole where you ring the bell because it's a blind tee shot off of a par three. So the bell at DeBell, that's one of my first iterations with any Billy Bell courses was that one. The par is 72. From the blue tees, you're hitting 6,500 yards, and from the red tees, although the red tees were actually silver, which was weird, 5,900 yards from the reds. And then the rating and slope for both of them, 71.1 and a 126 rating for the blues, and then 73.5 with a 127 rating for the reds. They are Kikuya grass on all things grass related, tee box, fairways, and greens, and you can walk or ride. Very walkable course. I like to walk a lot, and it's a course that it's very simple to walk, especially Mesa Linda, the shorter of the two. But we played Lagos, but both courses very walkable. But to get deeper into the nerdy with Curdy, I want to look at pace of play. It's certainly the topic for this course. April 12th, 2023. Zephyr Melton published an article for golf.com on how pace of play affects your round, and they did some scientific research on it. This particular article was after the 2023 Masters, which, if you're someone who watches golf, Brooks Koepka had some choice words for pace of play. Koepka tied for second and was in the second to last group, following Patrick Cantlay, who's notorious for being a slow golfer. And Koepka had some choice words about the pace of play there. Patrick Cantlay and Victor Hovland were in that final pairing. Hovland finished tied for seventh, and he's Norwegian. He's one of my favorite golfers because I have a Norwegian background, so I've always cheered for Victor Hovland. But the culprit was Patrick Cantlay, who finished tied for 14th, and then Koepka was behind them with John Rahm, who ended up winning the Masters. But pace of play was all the topic for that from that Masters. It only took them just under 5 hours, which isn't an obscene length of time, but anyone who knows Patrick Cantlay knows he's a slow player. And then when you're behind him and you're already thinking about things being slow, anything that you see coming out of that group is going to make you just get even more frustrated or mad. Lots of things in that article, and that came out after that Masters. What I found interesting was a study done by Arcus Golf, not Arcus like the golf management company, but
Right.
ARCCOS. They conducted a study, and they took golfers who used the stat tracking system and recorded at least 18-hole rounds. The data was for par 72 courses between 6,000 and 6,500 yards in length, between 70 and 73 course rating, and slope between 120 and 130. So I'm trying to capture data from courses that are very similar in length and difficulty. And I found it interesting. On average, an hour in time difference made at least one stroke difference on all levels of golfers, so on all handicap levels. So pace of play certainly does, and it's been scientifically proven that pace of play affects your game.
Well, there's no doubt. We'll put that in the show notes.
Yeah, a quote that I found in that article as well, or I think it was on the Arcos website, was golf is a game that is played on a 5-inch course, the distance between your ears. Quote from Bobby Jones, which that's what happens. Slow play starts to get in your head. Golf is a very mental game, so you start thinking about pace of play, how slow someone is in front of you or behind you, and all that stuff. It certainly comes into play. So the distance between your ears.
And I think too, most courses recommend that you play ready golf, right? I'm guessing that's different for tournaments and things like that.
Yeah, for tournaments, the etiquette is for the person who scored the lowest score tees off first, and like the person who won the hole, the person who's furthest out, and especially when it comes to putting, but that's for the entire hole. The person who's furthest out is to hit first, and you shouldn't be doing anything that's distracting. So a lot of times they're not even like doing their practice swings or moving around. Now that's all based on judgment. But yes, in general play, public golf, you should play ready golf. You should be lined up, ready to hit, so that when the person next to you or behind you hits, you're ready to go. If someone's in a bunker and hitting out and you're on the green, there's no harm in you putting, even if they're away. Like, don't wait for them to break the bunker and then walk up. Like, just play ready golf. It's a public course. We're not in a tournament. Even if you're playing for money, like, sure, do the things you got to do, but keep pace moving. The group in front of us was not playing ready golf. They were taking their time teeing off. once someone finished putting, the next person was walking up and then lining up their putt and, like, eyeing things up, and it's like, that should have been done long ago.
Right.
Like, at Black Gold, the monitor said, "You are 7 minutes behind pace," but realistically, we were keeping up with the group in front of us. Within reason, you can be behind pace, but still be keeping up with pace of play. I fall back normally on keeping up with the group in front of you. That's the big takeaway from Nerdy with Curdy.
I love it. We need some more respect around pace of play. Let's move into what the people are saying. I went on Google to find some reviews on this course, and I was shook to see that it had a 4 out of 5. There's no world in which I would have given them a 4, but Lee Stewart, who posted 2 days ago, gave them 5 stars. And he said, "This is my home course where I play the most. Their staff is always polite and courteous. Sometimes there's waits, but they try to keep it going." And you know what I say? I am so happy for you, Lee. I am genuinely happy for you. That's great. I'm so glad that's your experience. But I relate more with the review that you're going to read, Kurt, that I sent you here from Brian.
I have a feeling I'm also gonna relate to Brian. Yeah, proud of you, Lee. I'm happy that you have that experience, but you are in the minority. The rest of us are going to agree with Brian Shank, fitting last name, I have a feeling, but 1 star from 2 months ago. 3.5 hours to play 9 holes today, an average Monday. I had enough time to start and quit smoking before we got to the fifth hole. It's an absolute travesty because the course is well maintained and fun to play, but you can barely call it golfing when you wait 10 to 25 minutes to tee off on every hole. Amen to that. He might as well have written that review for us. Almost 3.5 hours to play that front nine. It was probably closer to 3, if I'm being honest, but still felt like 3.5. And then I also agree, which is a shame. That's why I'm so frustrated, I think, is that I love Costa Mesa, the course layout. They keep it in pretty good condition for a public course. The price is very fair. Everything else about it is great except the pace of play, and it's just enough to ruin everything else.
Yeah, I think that makes or breaks an experience. This was the first time I've played golf where at one point I was thinking, I'm not having fun. I want to go home. And that never happens to me. I would say by like 15, 16, I was like, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Let's talk price because I think we paid different prices. I booked us through the course website. On the course website, you only have the option to reserve for walking, and then you can add a cart if you want to ride, or you can bring your own cart, or I think there's carts there that you can rent if you want to walk. So I paid $92 at check-in, and that included a cart. You walked. How much did you pay?
I pay 75 and I walked, and I have my own push cart that I like to use when I play. I paid 75 to walk 18 holes and wait for an eternity.
And unfortunately, Kurt forgot his seat. So that
I forgot about that. Yeah, my cart has a built-in retractable seat on a spring that is perfect for a day like today where you're waiting on every hole, you're waiting on almost every shot, and left that sucker at home. So standing room
jeez.
only for me.
Not the day to do that. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, regarding price, I want to give a little bit of credit where credit's due. And you touched on this a second ago, but the course is beautiful. It was in good condition. Um, the greens were in good condition. Oh, I loved the fairways. The fairways were wide. I know it's probably mostly mental, but when you have a narrow fairway, it's a little intimidating, right, off the tee. And so having those wide fairways just made it easier. And I also loved that it was a long course because I love getting yardage. Sometimes I feel like the ladies' tees, you don't get as great of yardage. And so I loved that it was a long course too. But when I say long, I mean yardage, not time. Then there was a five some in front of us, which should be illegal. Why? Why? Why are we doing that?
Costa Mesa is notorious for it. Some courses allow it, some courses don't. It's up to management there. I think the reason is pace of play because it's so slow. They can five some can essentially keep up with the foursome just because everything is so slow. What they
Right.
did is they had a twosome and a threesome, and rather than send them out separately, they put them together. And I think they just didn't have a single or a twosome that would have fit within that. And so they
Got
sent them
it.
out because there's a
Okay.
threesome in front of that fivesome, but then in front of them was another fivesome. So two fivesomes within four groups in front of us. So we didn't even mention we teed off 20 minutes late from our tee time. And it's not
Oh,
like our tee time was 3 p.m. where yeah, if you're running behind because an entire day of tee times have happened, but it's 9:30 in the morning. You've had 12 tee times since you opened.
do you know what time we teed off? I tried looking at my phone and stuff, and I couldn't exactly figure it out.
You know what? I've videoed you
On the
teeing off
first tee.
on one.
Okay.
Let's find that
Because I
tee.
have a timestamp for the turn, which I'll get to later, but I don't have a timestamp for when we
Let's
actually teed
see.
off.
Well, I took a photo at 9:30, which was our scheduled tee time, but that was us standing there waiting. At 9:52 a.m., I took the photo of you teeing off on one.
We booked our tee time for 9:32, so we were 20 minutes late, and that just compounded, I think, throughout the round. It just got longer and longer. So I paid almost $100 for golf on a Saturday. That seems like a fair cost, but you couldn't pay me to go back. So, okay, give me your thoughts on your price.
I think 75 on a weekend is almost unbeatable unless, you could play Willowick, but then you're playing on a sand lot. For $75 for pretty decent conditions, I think price for the course, if you took pace of play out as a factor, it's almost unbeatable in Southern California. I like the layouts. There's water. There's not a ton of elevation, but there's some. The first par three has a dip. That next par five has a huge uphill elevated green, and it's got some character, but pace of play just really affects things.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and that moves us into playability, which, to be fair, I thought that the course was pretty playable, which is wild for how I'm talking about this course. As a beginner, I really liked it. The fairways were wide. That was a big one for me. The greens were fair and true, but I think my mental game wasn't there. Towards the end ish, the energy had tipped in a certain direction, I think, at some
Yeah,
point. And no one wants that. We want to be having fun playing golf. I took a photo of my hot dog, which, by the way, was delicious. So that
that's
gave
good.
them a little bit on my score today. I took a picture of it at the turn and we pulled up to hole 10. And then I took a picture of my watch and the watch said 12:41. So that means that was over 3 hours after our tea time and we were waiting on hole 10. And that put me in a mood. That put me in a mood. Why don't you tell me some good things that you liked about the course?
I'll get into some good things here in a second, but I do
Okay.
want to address that 10th hole situation. Even on the first tee, I was saying how the front nine is always 3 hours, and then the back nine you can play in like two, 2.5. It always picks up on the back nine. So when we finished in 3 hours, it felt slower just because we were waiting. But then we got to 10 after you stopped and got a hot dog. I stopped and got a drink. Like I went to the restroom. Gustavo went to the restroom. We got up to 10. The group in front of us, that fivesome, was waiting for the green to clear, and it was 375 yards.
Stop.
We were sitting there talking, and the range is right next to hole 10. So hole 10 is teeing off essentially in line with all of the range. And we were chatting with them, and they were even making comments about it. And that fivesome waited for the green to clear before teeing off, which made us wait even longer. At that point, we all were feeling the effects, and it was just there's no getting over it. The pace of play was in our heads. We started playing poorly because of the pace of play. And then with pace being a factor, and now we're not playing well, then golf becomes no fun. And even
Right.
Tyler, he was like a 5 handicap. He was one over on the front, having a great round, and then just fell apart on the back. It's about 15. We were like silent walking up to the next tee box.
Right. We kind of just died out. Like the energy died out. So how did you score? All in all, how did you do?
I was playing pretty well. I was 4 over on the front and honestly was kind of disappointed with my 4 over. I hit that one tiny little branch on an approach shot, and that like
Mhm.
the skinniest little branch just swatted my ball back down. Like sometimes it'll like just redirect it a little bit. You lose a little distance, but you still like get it kind of where you were aiming. But this thing just swatted it right back to me. That was a little frustrating, but fighting for some pars, and I've made a couple of lengthy putts to save either a par, or save a bogey instead of taking a double bogey, which helped my round. So playing pretty well, I thought. And then we got to the back, and by hole 12, I was already 9 over. So I'd already doubled my like how many over I was. None of us were playing well at that point, but I finished with an 85, so I was 13 over, which not great, especially at that course. I should be shooting, I should be shooting like 80.
Mhm.
So it wasn't far off from where I should be for my handicap, but it just felt so much worse. Felt like I was striking the ball well, but just scoring wasn't there. And a lot of that is that
Yeah.
5 inches between your ears.
All right, let's move into holes that stood out for us. Hole 1, we just were waiting, watching that 5 some. Oh, and then it started to sprinkle. The weather app was lying, so I don't think my mood was as good as it could have been. But the hole that I remembered first was hole 4 because I got a par. So that was exciting for me. Pars are very exciting for me. So it only took me
Right.
4 holes this round to get my first par. What about you? Tell me about some holes you liked.
So there's a few holes on this course that I do like. I've played here quite a bit, so there's some holes that I like. I am generally a longer hitter, so starting off with 2 par 5s, I do like. You can usually recover well if you're a longer hitter, so even a bad drive, you can still get back into getting the green in regulation. But yeah, back to back par 5s I do like. But then hole 3, for some reason, I like that hole. It's a little bit longer par 4. Holes that stood out on this day, or holes that stand out to me in general for the course, I think I'd have two different answers. Holes that stand out to me in general is hole number 6, which is a par 5 with an elevated green, dog leg left. There's a fun little train that runs by that you can hear, so they'll like ding their bell,
Yes.
stuff like that.
Yes.
A little distracting at times, but fun little visual if you're waiting. But I like that hole. It's a little challenging because of the dog leg and the elevated green, but if you can really get a drive out there, you have a shot at going for it in 2 or at least getting close. So all in all, I like that hole, but I wouldn't say I liked it on Saturday. And same thing with hole 7. It's that par 3 with the water in front, and it's a little bit
Mhm.
longer par 3. So a little challenging, which I like. And the last few times I played there, I've had pretty decent tee shots. And on Saturday, it was one that hit the green, had a really nice drive. On the back, there's some holes that I really hate. I don't know why that hole, it's the par 5 with the water on the left, and I always hit it
Yes.
into the water.
Mhm.
You can get aggressive and try to go over the water if you hit it really well. I was just trying to hit it nice and easy, and we had some wind in our face too, so I didn't think I would clear it. So just trying to hit it up there, and I hit it well. The wind just kept pushing it, and it went into the water. Was then, dropping and hitting 3. Didn't like that so much. And then by that point, we were all kind of tired and giving up. Yeah, I think 12 is fun because that's also a little dog leg. You can play a little draw around it, or you can cut it over the trees. I will say, as much as I don't want to play Costa Mesa again, I do think we should play Mesa Linda. I think there's some really fun holes at Mesa Linda, even though it's a shorter course. There's some holes that I really
Okay.
like on that side. There's a par 3 over water again. There's some pretty short par 4s that make it a little easier, which I like.
You can get me back there. Here are the things that I loved. Number 1, the hot dog. Number 2, I found out after the round that they have a chili dog, and I didn't know that until after. Should have got the chili dog. That would have elevated my experience. And then I loved that they had a snack bar like on the course. I don't remember which hole it was, but I loved that. It changed the mood a little bit. I was like, hallelujah, I'm going to get a Snickers bar. And I'm so glad that I did.
You also pass by the clubhouse after 9 when you're playing Los Lagos, at least. So you get a chance to grab food or drink there, but then you have that shack. It's after 14, after that par 5 that I don't like, is where you
Okay.
can get
Yeah.
that snack shack before the par 3, hole 15. But on Mesa Linda, you don't come back after hole 9, so you don't ever make the turn again. So you don't see the clubhouse once you tee off until you finish, which is why
Really?
that snack shack exists. I think it's actually hole 14 on both
Mhm.
of them. You
Hmm.
catch them on hole
Okay.
14. Both of hole 14s are a par 5, and both of them have the snack shack after, which one of my best rounds at Costa Mesa, I'd eagled that hole, and so I was able to go get a shot and a beer at the little snack shack, which I loved, little
Nice.
celebration, and then it's 2 short par 4s right after that, so usually a par 5, you could have a chance to score well, and then 2 short holes after that. So, good timing of the snack shack, and then 2 relatively simple holes as you're kinda heading back in.
That's
I think
interesting.
you'll like Mesa Linda a little bit better, but it still, has all the pace of play problems that Los Lagos has.
We're going early. We're going early.
Yeah,
All right. Well, I think we've ripped apart her personality at this
sure
point.
did.
She's beautiful, but she's toxic. I really think that this comes down to management. This is not the starter's fault. This is not the marshal's fault. This is someone in operations who is making a poor choice to stack the tea times like this. I think they ought to stagger the tea times better and charge a little more because it's a great course.
I think they're just looking at dollar signs, and someone did the math, and they saw how many extra tee times they could slip in if they bumped it up 2.5 minutes or whatever it is that they do. You said it's not the starter's fault, and I hesitated for a second, but I realized it's not really their fault because they can't make you tee off into someone. You have to wait for the net
Right.
group in front of you to clear, and so they're there and they're doing the best they can, but I've been there at 7:30 and been late teeing off still, and there's a starter there, so I don't understand how you get that far behind that early, and I think the answer is just the tee time setup. It's not enough time. The management issue, and it affects everything, as we have beaten a dead horse with that
Yes.
information today.
Well, it's time for the moment of truth, Kurt. I want to know
Okay.
your score. Again, we're rating this on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 is never again, 10 is Augusta National. I'm guessing you're doing yours right now because that's your style. I, of course, did mine ahead of time. And so I'll show you mine first. And here we go. You ready?
I am ready.
Is it backwards?
No, I can see it. Wow. I knew it was gonna be low, but I did not know how low it was gonna be, and that is a low score.
That's a low score. Listen,
I yeah.
I actually put 2.5 on the board when I first did it. And then I thought to myself, that would put this at 25%. And they shouldn't be there. They're below that. Golf is supposed to be fun and 6 hours is not fun. I found the whole thing to be a test of patience and character when I just wanted to be having a good time, you know?
I think that's fair.
Let's see you, Kurt. Let's see. You're a nicer scorer than me.
I am, and that's also something that we have to address before I show my score, just because I have been more generous with my scores. I brought up greenskeeper.org, which if I want to look at a scorecard before I go to a course, see which holes are the most difficult, or like if it's a shorter course or longer course, or what holes I need to be focusing on, I'll pull that up. And you can rank on that site as well. And it's a 6.16, which is good. I think that's more accurate than what Google is. Them being a 4 on Google, I think is a little too generous.
Right.
So I think Greenskeeper is a little bit nicer. I know you said you would leave this podcast if I went above a 5, so I had to keep that in mind as well, 'cause can't have you leaving. I essentially doubled yours, but not on purpose.
Okay.
I felt like that was pretty fair.
I like your generosity. I think
You
that
know,
that's a good thing.
try to balance it out, but as long as I'm consistent with my scores and you're consistent with your scores, then it should still average out and our scores should match. I do think we need to keep a running tally of what we're scoring because I'm going to forget. We're only 3
We
in and I
do.
almost forgot what I've given Anaheim Hills.
I'm glad that we played it. We had to get that out of our system. Our last couple have been awesome. We had a great time at Anaheim Hills and Black Gold. So we had to
Yeah.
have a little bit of a disappointment in there. There are these courses that are notoriously known to just be awful, and we're going to play those too. I've just got to toughen up and we got to play them because people are playing these courses. I mean, it was busy.
Yeah.
It was bumping. There's no doubt that it's popular. We'll be back. We'll be back next week. We're going to play to Harris Creek.
RSM.
I cannot wait. I love to Harris. I've played there one time and I still had my baby clubs, my Wilson starter kit, and I scored a 98 and that was the best day of my life.
Wow.
It was the best I'd ever played really early on, just one of those days. So I'm excited to go back and, probably duff it, but have a good time.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. Yeah. To Harris Creek. Great course. Really looking forward to it. As we keep going here, please like, subscribe, comment, tell your friends, share the link, and let us know what courses we should play.
Yeah, and be a generous reviewer like Kurt and give us 5 stars. Tell Apple or Spotify or YouTube how great you think our podcast is. We also have an Instagram, so follow us, please. All right, Kurt, I'll see you next time. I can't wait for Harris. It's going to be awesome.